The Driveway Podcast.
Boys and girls, ball knowers and ball unknowers, welcome back to episode 16. I'm joined here by Danny. I am also Danny. We both got the fresh fits on today. Danny might be one-upping me a little bit because he has the most wanted, the most delectable shirt you have ever seen. And every time you see a person wearing the shirt, they're the coolest person on earth. They're someone that knows ball. And that's why we created this podcast. Yeah, TikTok merchants. We're back today, episode 16. Obviously, we're called The Driveway. We're here to have some fun, here to talk some ball. We're going to start off with some NBA Finals talk, World Cup. We're going to talk some World Cup. We're going to go over kind of the biggest surprising results. And then after that, we're going to keep it a little bit open with other news, things that are happening in our daily lives. Just because these are the only two main things. We don't want to go too deep into draft stuff, into NBA, into NFL, because it's a bunch of hoopla for the moment. So we're going to stick to the real facts, the things that mean something, and then we're going to go over whatever it is we want to talk about, and then end of the closing discussion. But
this month sucks for a sports fan because like June and July you get the most like just junk articles from ESPN, and it's just like filling your head with filth of like unneeded information. Like, I didn't need to know TIAGO Splitter watched the Bulls in the 90s, and that's how he got into basketball. Like, fuck off.
I know. I feel like every single fucking person we hire has a photo of them in an MJ jersey at 7. Like,
I know.
Every person.
It's so funny because, like, Brendan Sorsby dominated, and, like, a lot of this, like, all these, like, political things with make college football great again, the bill they're trying to pass in the Senate. Like that dominated. I was so tired of reading about this fucking kid who gambled on his. Just fucking get rid of him. And you know what's funny?
Make a decision. Yeah.
You know what's funny is like everyone talks about how much of assholes like the U.S. is about like our about us like shutting down like travel and shit like that. Canada's not letting a guy from the Ivory Coast in because he was involved in a gambling scheme.
Yeah, I read about that this morning. Yeah.
I didn't know that was bad enough where you can't travel.
There was a referee. I don't know if you remember her. I think he was from Senegal. That he was not. He was on a terrorist list, and he was not allowed into the U.S. It's like, what the fuck? Like, what has this guy done? Holy shit!
Yeah, that's pretty fucking crazy.
That's some crazy shit. But so obviously we finished the first leg of games in the World Cup. So everyone has played their first matchup, played their first opponent. But let's start off with what we think is probably the biggest news of the week. Us being from the U.S., other than the United States winning their game, which we'll get into, it's going to be the New York Knicks winning the 2026 NBA championship. This is the first NBA title of theirs since 1973. The whole city today's the day of the parade. Absolute riot. I watched a little bit of it just because, like, the big news that everyone's talking about is that they stopped letting people into the parade. There was that many people. But anyway, Knicks ended up defeating the Spurs 4-1. They had 3 huge closeout games. It was a pretty incredible series. I was rooting Spurs at the beginning, but then as time went on, game 4, I'd say I was very much like, I see the Knicks winning, and we talked about it last episode, like this is good for the NBA, is the Knicks winning it. It's definitely better than the 22-year-old Victor Wembanyama. And I'm very happy for New York. I'm happy for Brunson. I'm happy for Wu-Tang. Like, a lot of these guys that finally get to represent themselves in their art or their music with their team finally winning, that means something to me. What does it mean to you? I mean, how was it watching?
I thought it was really great what the city of New York did for the NBA Finals. Like, they very well could have saved the NBA and, like, the NBA season, because this was probably, pound for pound, maybe the worst NBA season we've ever had, and then people forgot about that as soon as the Knicks started playing well in the playoffs.
Even the playoffs, right? Like, playoffs in general stopped that, because we had I think we had some pretty good playoffs.
Yeah, we had a really great playoffs. And, the one thing I was kind of annoyed with was this playoffs was so New York media coded, and the fact that, like, they were saying like what was it, game 4, was it, when the Knicks came back down 29?
I think that was game 4. Yeah, those go 3-1.
They had everyone was prisoner in the moment. They even had, like, Barstool Media, ESPN, that people were calling it was the greatest NBA Finals game ever, and I didn't think that. that wasn't even close to the NBA Finals game ever. And I'm sorry, if a team blows a 29-point lead, it cannot be the greatest NBA Finals game ever, because that means for almost an entire half, that team was absolute dog shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
for
what
both
the
halves.
were.
For both
For
the
both
first
half,
half.
for both
yeah,
halves.
yeah. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you're saying that, because there wasn't a lot of people that had that take, and I do agree with you. I like the atmosphere of it being the best NFL or Finals game of all time, but you're exactly right. Like, it didn't bring enough of that. Like, I still don't think this was Bron blocking Iguodala, right, in a game 6.
No.
Like, that was totally different. You know,
what this series brought back, and I think that this is something that's only in an American, only in an American experience, is like the big city media iconic teams that have been representing the oldest cities in America. Like, though they really do elevate the individual sport that they're in. And if you don't believe me, go look at the NHL Stanley Cup final, where all six games were incredible. I think it was a 6-game series. All 6 games were incredible, but because it was Vegas versus Carolina, nobody gave a fuck.
I know the media had nothing to grab onto. Yeah,
nothing to grab onto, because you have an expansion team versus an expansion team from early 2000s. Like, I love hockey, and even I would like I'd watch the games, but even I didn't feel any type of weight that I would if it was like the Bruins or the Rangers or the Senators or the Red Wings or the Blackhawks. Obviously the Blackhawks, because we're in Chicago, but there is like that. The hockey actually has a term for it, the original 6.
Mm-hmm.
The original 6 exists in every sport, and you saw the power of that, because it was a 5-game series, but people have been talking about this finals like it was a 7-game blockbuster, but it was just because it was.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Was it not the first 2 games was, Vegas, and then it was 4 straight by Carolina?
Yeah. No, there was 1-1, and then Carolina, I think, won. They were down 2-1 and then won 3 straight.
Down 2-1, because I do remember them being down. That was a big topic, yeah.
That was also crazy, too, because when you had that shit going on with the Knicks coming back, you had Carolina, they were down 3-0 in the third period once, and came back, and then they were down 4-0.
Yes,
and
that's
they came
what
back.
I heard about. Yeah.
Yeah, that was what was crazy. And then they just kind of took over the series, because they were just a much better team. That was also another crazy story, where the guy who won the cup with Carolina in 2006 was the coach of the team this year, and he won it again. That was a pretty Rob the Bod.
Yeah, it wasn't that guy. I remember the stat. I forgot what the stat was, but he was involved in 90% of the playoff wins in that franchise history. That's pretty
crazy.
Again, you got to put a statue of that guy. Usually, you got to put a statue.
Yeah, and you know what? I want to say. A lot of people were talking about Jalen Brunson. They were talking about Karl Anthony Towns. They were talking about Mitchell Robinson. I thought that this was a coming out party for Mike Brown. And you know why? You know why? The one thing the Knicks were better at than anyone they played was coaching. Mm-hmm. And especially in the NBA Finals, Mike Brown coached circles around the Spurs.
Yeah.
He coached circles. This was his NBA Finals. Jalen Brunson did really great, but in my opinion, watching the Knicks, there was, obviously the offense runs through Jalen Brunson, but it was a team effort. Like, everyone played their role. OG played his role and came up clutch in a bunch of situations. Josh Hart played his role. I think our last episode we talked about that big time. We harped on it, so I don't want to go too deep in it. It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks do with the second apron situation, where they might lose Landry Shamet and Mitchell Robinson. I think Mitchell Robinson's the biggest one. Landry Shamet, he's replaceable. You can find a cheap option.
You could draft a player
shooter. But Mitchell Robinson, us as Bulls fans know it's hard to find a defensive-minded big that is... What the fuck? Hold on, wait. Did you hear that?
No.
Oh, my bad. I had Barstool Sports. I had Brandon Walker's. I had Brandon Walker's voice. I had Brandon Walker's voice screaming in my headphones. Because that's a.
Did I ever tell you that I ran into him at a card show? That was a couple months ago.
Did you talk to him?
I did not get to talk to him. I said hi, and he like looked at me and walked away.
Dude,
like,
Brandon Walker is my idol.
He's good at what he does. I do respect him for it.
He's so good, and if you're a college football fan, there's no one better.
He's just so straight, you know. I mean, like he's a douchebag, but in a very honest way, which I do appreciate.
I just love how he nerds out about the stuff that like we would all nerd out about.
Yeah,
like you know, dude. Sports, movies, like you know, like he's been nerding out about the He-Man movie. Anyways, back to the Knicks. So I thought this NBA Finals was great. I thought it was exciting, but to be honest with you, Dijo, and here's a question I want to pose to you. Actually, I want to pose two questions, and I don't want to eat up too much time, but I think these are two very pertinent questions that are fun to talk about. Number one, the first question. Would this finals have been talked about and celebrated as much if it was like a Denver versus Indiana playoff series?
Denver versus Indiana. So first I'm going to say no, strictly for the reason that New York is involved. If New York is involved the same way that, imagine if Los Angeles was on a drought for 53 years, right? The entire world would be talking about it. I do see Indiana's point of view, where if like Indiana was to win a ring, then it would be the NBA would be talking about it, because 70% of the NBA fans would be rooting for Indiana in any series versus the West. I do think this series deserved the recognition because of just what it was. Like, you know, Wembanyama versus the Knicks. That is something that we talk about in the 90s, right? Whenever people are talking about like other teams like that versus a big star, like you get these kind of matchups, and we'll be talking about it 30 years from now and how impressive that was. I'll let you go to your second question, but yeah, I'm going to keep it with the Knicks. I think the Knicks deserved the recognition for it.
Yeah, and the playoff that a little bit there always is, and this is something just in every sport in terms of parity. There is something that it gets a little heavier when these two teams have played for a finals before. Mm-hmm. And I know 1999 was a long time ago. I remember it well. You don't remember it well because you're a baby. But 1999 was a long time ago. But it is like when you have a history, when you're able to go back and look at like finals video footage of two teams, and that's your promo going into an NBA Finals, completely different. I mean, look how what that did to the Celtics-Lakers rivalry. So
I know, yeah.
You know, when teams play in the finals, it just comes with a bigger weight. My second question to you. So I heard part of my take kind of arguing about who's kind of like the last team that you would say the Knicks weren't better than this championship team, right? And they fell onto the 2018 Warriors or like some 2019 Warriors. I would go as far as to say I think the Knicks would have had a lot of problems with Kawhi's Raptors. And then that got me going down this rabbit hole. That got me going down this rabbit hole of the parity in the NBA, how we've had eight different champions. And did Kawhi Leonard fuck up the NBA? Because if you think about it, Kawhi Leonard won a championship with San Antonio. He went and took down the dynasty with Toronto. And then he went to the Clippers and was supposed to bring the next big dynasty to the Clippers. And he never did it. He just injuries and never planned out to fruition. Kawhi Leonard, when he won that championship with the Raptors, we were talking about him being like a top 15 all time.
Yes, I remember being like, he's
top
great.
10 all time, maybe. Like we were talking about him being one
he's
of
going to
the
win
best
10 more
two-way
rings.
Players. 10 more rings.
Yeah,
and then he just never did. He never even played really. He never really played 65 games in a season ever.
He didn't play meaningful basketball since then. No, he didn't. He didn't play in a winning culture. He didn't win in games. He didn't play in any big games. I think what Kawhi did, and I do give Kawhi a lot of respect still, because I still think he's a great player, but it wasn't the same as what it was 6-7 years ago at this point. Yeah. Kawhi changed the route of the NBA to where people invested in stars again. Because they saw what Kawhi did, where it's like, you can get a 1-year rental and win a ring. This is what everyone's thinking about with Giannis. Everyone's like, oh my God, can we trade for Giannis on a 1-year deal and not have to give him an extension? Can we trade for Paul George? Can we get James Harden? He's going to change the route of our team. we're still kind of in this little area of it. I think OKC definitely changed it for the better. The Knicks too, I have to give respect for the way the Knicks build their roster because they have a cap guy as their GM, so it's like they fully understood the routes around it. But Kawhi, man, he did change the NBA a little bit with his mind.
I have a hot take about Giannis, and I thought it's funny that you mentioned it was Giannis about investing in stars. I think Giannis would have had the overhaul he would have had if you didn't look at that NBA Finals and say Giannis was carried by Chris Middleton.
Ooh.
Chris Middleton carried the Bucks, and
he did hit all the big shots.
Look at what happened to Giannis and the Bucks post Chris Middleton of them moving on from Middleton, first the injury and then them trading him away. They never recovered.
It's a very fair point. It's a very fair point because you know what, I can say the same thing about OKC with Jalen Williams. Now, he's not the same player that Chris Middleton was. Chris Middleton hit a lot of big fucking shots in that finals. People don't give him the exact flowers that he deserves because I remember all those middies he would hit in the fourth quarter where he was absolutely unstoppable when Giannis wasn't scoring. With Williams in OKC, without Williams, I think Williams would have helped them win Game 7. I think they would have helped them win against the Knicks. It definitely goes back and forth on that. But I would have to agree with you. I do see Chris Middleton's legacy being a bit faded because of the way we talk about Giannis.
Well, because of just Giannis being so polarizing. I mean,
polarizing. Yeah, and that finals was how many years ago?
Now he's not polarizing to the point that Victor Wembanyama is now. But there was a time when people were looking at Giannis wanting him to be that new international villain, and he never really took the bait on it. Mm-hmm. And then now he's basically been in prison with Milwaukee. But, I mean, Chris Middleton, he was the defensive engine on that team, on top of being the guy making all the big shots. He was playing unreal. And, I mean, the Bucks were winning. When Giannis went down with injury, the Bucks were winning without Giannis. When Chris Middleton went down with injury, that team deflated fast. Mm-hmm. They were losing with Giannis on the court, and then Giannis just gave up. He just gave up.
That's a big scenario for teams. Teams always need a bucket getter. And as easy as it is to play with or without, when the Bucks didn't have their bucket getter, Giannis has no bag. Like, people don't understand that Giannis is really good. He has no bag. He has no ball skills to where it's like you give him the ball at the top of the key. His motives are the same exact thing as Wembanyama. It's like try maybe to get an open shot, take 5 dribbles, try to dribble, get fouled. He doesn't really have the deep bag. Whereas when you lose Chris Middleton, even Drew Holiday, right? Like Drew Holiday had a big series that finals as well. Without them, you lose your main ball carrier, your main ball handler, and your bucket getter. Without those,
I said Chris Middleton was kind of like the Luol Deng.
Yeah, the glue.
Because
glue
like guy. Luol, if you watch the Bulls during the Derrick Rose era, obviously Derrick Rose is the guy. However, there's a reason why we won without Derrick Rose, and that's because our bucket getter, our guy, our engine was Luol Deng. Mm-hmm. He was the consistency that we didn't have everywhere else. And when he got hurt, when Luol Deng got hurt, that's when they had to blow it up.
Yeah, and you see, the one thing I always remember is that whenever Derrick Rose got hurt, the backup point guard resurrected their career. Absolutely resurrected their, whether it's John Lucas or like fucking
DJ Augustine, Nate Robinson.
Yeah, all these guys resurrected their career, and they weren't even supposed to be playing the point guard role. Nate Robb. Dude, they were Gennaro Pargo. They were bucket getters, and Luol Deng was a big part of that. Where Luol Deng was playing the glue guy, so the point guard. What did Derrick Rose do best? Score. That guy could fucking score. And so when you get a point guard that could score, it could be anybody. But Derrick Rose just did it in a different fashion. But okay, let's carry back to the Knicks here because I think the Knicks a little bit more topic on the Knicks here. So I want to give some flowers to Jalen Brunson. So I know everyone's doing it anyway, but I want to give flowers because that was one of the best performances I've ever seen in a closeout game. He put up 45 points, Finals MVP. Whoever claims him, I'm going to still claim him as my own only because he did play against my high school while I went to that school. So he, again, like I knew who this guy was while I was...
Wait, who the fuck are you talking about?
Jalen Brunson, when he went to Stevenson.
Oh, Jalen Brunson went to fucking Stevenson?
You didn't know that? Holy shit, yeah. Jalen Brunson, Illinois native, bro, yes.
Oh, I did not know that.
Arguably, I mean, he was born in New Jersey, moved to Chicago, played in the northwest suburbs, and when I was in high school, I do remember my freshman year when he was a junior. This kid lit up our fucking school every single time they played, which I think they only played 3 times. But this kid was a fucking menace, and so I'm gonna accept him humbly as a Chicago product, which I think most people are going to as well. He balled out in his finals, and I have to give him full respect. Another thing before we finish off on the Knicks could have done this last year. Easily could have done this last. They could have went to the finals and won in the finals last year, but Thibodeau, Tom fucking Thibodeau, and what you were mentioning about the Knicks, Mike Brown deserves so much respect for what he's done and how he's raised this team in one season. I do think Thibodeau also probably deserves a ring. I think they're going to communicate with Thibodeau about that. But man, to piggyback on what you said earlier, I think Mike Brown did a phenomenal job, and that guy has a job in New York for the next 5 years.
Yeah, I think Mike Brown, to your point, I think Mike Brown would give Thibodeau a ring, and I think Thibodeau's going to get a lot of unwarranted hate. But what people don't understand is that you don't get this Knicks team without Thibodeau instilling that defensive identity. The Knicks played phenomenal team defense from top to bottom. They played unselfish basketball. Yeah. Mike Brown was never that kind of a coach.
You're right.
What I think Mike Brown did really well, he knew how to leverage his bench, which Thibodeau, we knew this from Chicago, did not know how to do. He's never done very well. Mike Brown knew how to do player switches. He did that exceptionally well. And then on top of that, Mike Brown, he kind of developed this play style that was very foreign to this NBA, but wasn't very foreign to an NBA I grew up with, where he said, hey, the offense is going to be centralized through one player. And since a bunch of teams don't play defense, that's going to allow our role players to have opportunities that they wouldn't normally have, because we're going to force teams to have to zero in on Brunson and open up lanes for everyone else. And that's why you saw guys like Karl Anthony Towns have a big postseason. You saw OG Anunoby having a huge postseason. At times you saw Josh Hart, score, flip-flop. He would be a big rebounder and not score, and sometimes he would score and he wouldn't be rebounding.
He had that one game where he shot 6 of 6 from 3. That was
and people forget when Mikal Bridges was in Brooklyn, he was averaging over 20 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
And he came and played his role. So I think what was really important was that, and Mike Brown did this with Cleveland when they first brought in LeBron. Like, he's developed this, like, everything goes through this one guy. And props to Jalen Brunson for still being able to be as effective as he was with everyone zeroing in on him. But he took a lot of pressure off of Karl Anthony Towns. And I think what was important about that was, I think that was what was holding, that was a big thing, a big part of what was holding the Knicks back wasn't Thibodeau and his players not getting rest. A lot of it was Karl Anthony Towns not taking the next step.
Yeah, Karl Anthony Towns, he did play a bit soft. He did.
He played soft, but he played a lot more free in this postseason. Yeah. And I think it's because he wasn't being doubled, Dijo. I think it was because he wasn't having so much defensive pressure on him. And I also think he wasn't being forced to be a defensive presence because they had Mitchell Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they needed a defensive guy and they needed to play aggressive, they needed to play strong, Mitchell Robinson took a lot of pressure off of Cat because Mitchell Robinson knew that is an avenue I could play very well. You want me to put a body on Victor Wembanyama? You want me to put a body on Joel Embiid? I'll do that all day long. And I think that is a huge testament to Mike Brown of saying, I'm going to highlight the positives of Karl Anthony Towns. I'm not going to try to coach him into a player that he's just not.
Yeah.
And I give Mike Brown all the fucking credit in the world.
I know. I really did not think he could do it, let alone the Knicks. We're going to continue on this coach topic. We're going to shift teams. Congrats to the New York Knicks. Very excited for the way next NBA season is going to look now that the Knicks are the defending champs. I think it's going to make the East a lot more passion coming from the East. Let's shift
the Lakers. before we go on, look for the Lakers to try to steal Mitchell Robinson.
That's exactly. I was gonna think about the Lakers. They're dipping their toes into every available player. Jalen Durham, I'm seeing a lot as well. They're gonna be involved. But heading into another coach topic, so the Bulls went ahead and got their coach finally, TIAGO Splitter from the Portland Trailblazers. He's an up and coming name. Obviously, you know him from many NBA Finals. Played for several different teams, including the Spurs, which was one of his favorite teams. Dude's from South America, so he has a little bit of a thick accent. If you watch the press conference, that was a little bit of not a shock to me, but definitely a position where I'm just like, this is something the Bulls have not had before. The Bulls have always had really strong, homegrown, like Southern style coaches that like the same way you would see like for a football coach. He's a little bit of a different pace. Matches a little bit with Bryson as well. Bryson Graham, the new GM, is also a little bit of a different pace. A younger guy, kind of understands scouting a little bit more. I'm really excited about TIAGO. I think I'm excited because of how young he is and the opportunity. I like having a young coach because with a young coach becomes like learning curves and experiences. This is also a crazy take I had. I think because of the English, he does speak English, but he's not proficient. He's not perfectly fluent. I think gives him a way to feel very open in his conversation. You know what I mean? Like he's not sugarcoating things. He's not trying to find the right word. He's strictly just saying it how it is, and I find that very refreshing. In his press conference especially, he was just straight up. Like he was saying things that like maybe didn't sound right, but it's like the same way when Wemby talks. Wemby's talking purely from the heart, just through language, through the words he knows. So that part, I'm actually really excited for TIAGO. Tell me what you think.
Yeah, I'm also very excited for TIAGO Splitter. I was very happy that we brought in a younger, up-and-coming coach and not some old head. Not that I'm against veteran old head coaches. I thought that it's just better when you have a young and growing team. It's always a lot more I feel like young players are more responsive to younger coaches.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's just a culture match there. What I really appreciated about TIAGO Splitter, and I'm pulling up Portland's stat line here, was the way that the young players in Portland played under him. Even with all the issues that they had with Chauncey Billups coming into the season, we still saw so much growth through Shaedon Sharpe, Scoot Henderson, Donovan Clingan, Caleb Love, which Caleb Love is a guy you want to look at because there's a very good chance with all the second rounds that we have, the Bulls might be taking feelers on guys who had success at the college level that aren't being looked at as a first-round talent. Caleb Love was that guy. Caleb Love was a guy who had a big-time success in the NCAA level and then came up and was received really no chance to make it, and then turned into a very good role player for Portland. And then obviously we've been texting about it, like Denny Avdija, that kid balled out. I mean, he averaged 24 points a game, and we have guys like Modest Buzelis. We have guys like Noah Sengay. We have potentially guys like I don't want to. Caleb Wilson. I get too excited, but as soon as I get excited, he's going to get drafted second overall.
Yeah.
But we have all these new guys that are coming in that are these young guards that are being developed to be talented players for us, and they're going to have a chance, Dijo, to shine for a young coach, for a guy who's proven that he can win with young talent. He'll have to do that again. I don't think the Bulls are going to be in any place to win. I also don't see the Bulls being in any place to. I don't think the Bulls are going to be dead last.
I look at us. It's going to be very similar to how it was last year. I think we're going to be just short of the play-in, but I still give us a 3-year plan. I give us 3 years before I have expectations that are truly like, okay, now we need to see it. Now we need to see some results.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because if TIAGO comes in and he gets the most out of, if Matis takes a step forward with TIAGO, if Noah comes in and he's a factor for for this offense, and he's a good player for the Bulls. And then you get guys like, we're going to have 2 first-round picks, so you're going to have guys like maybe a Keaton Wagler and Caleb Love. If you start getting – or Caleb Wilson, I'm sorry, not Caleb Love. Caleb Wilson. If you get those 4 young players producing for you on top of having a Josh Giddey, there could be a chance that we outperform our expectations.
Yes.
However, I don't think we're going to be very good record-wise, because I think there's going to be, especially like defensively, there will be a little bit of a tough transition, especially with all these kids a lot of them being young and lengthy and not a lot of meat to them. There will be moments where they get bullied by NBA veterans that are a little more built. So I think we might see some trouble with that. However, I think the Bulls will be fine. I think TIAGO Splitter was the A+. He was an A+ get. He was probably our best option.
That's the other thing. Well. Yeah, probably the best option.
So, Bulls get an A+. And now I'm just excited to see what they do in terms of free agency.
Mm-hmm.
I think what the Bulls are going to do, and I think this fits more the TIAGO Splitter mindset, because he coached guys like Drew Holiday, guys like Jeremiah Grant, these veterans that were there, and they were playing with all these young kids, and he's going to have that opportunity, because what I think the Bulls are probably going to do is they're probably going to jump in on one of these blockbuster trades and be kind of the cap hit for a veteran who's making too much money.
Mm-hmm. Like a Bradley Beal, De'Aaron Fox kind of deal.
De'Aaron Fox, obviously Paul George is a name that comes up to mind. Philly's kind of in the New York Knicks situation now that the Knicks were in 2 years ago, where they are like, okay, how do we take that next step forward to being an NBA finals contender? Obviously, if they're going to do that, they're going to have to get rid of that Paul George contract and add someone else new to it. De'Aaron Fox, we talked about that the Spurs might be in the Jamal Murray sweepstakes because they need a new fresh point guard, somebody who's going to control the possession and not make Victor Wembanyama dribble it up. Mm-hmm. Jamal Murray's an NBA championship guard. He did exactly that with a European center.
Yeah.
So he fits that mold perfectly. So I think that the only thing about De'Aaron Fox is there's only 3 guys making more money than Fox, and he had probably an all-time worst NBA Finals.
That dropped his stock unbelievably.
Well, look, if you're one of those people that's surprised about De'Aaron Fox, I hate to tell you, you just don't watch college basketball, because he is a Kentucky guard personified. Explosive offensive guard who can't play defense and is not a very smart
isn't necessarily clutch player. Yeah, isn't a clutch guy.
He's not a smart player. He relies heavily on his physical attributes. He's an explosive point guard that can score the ball willy-nilly, but he was up against a guy who doesn't have the physical attributes that everyone has, but he's such a high basketball IQ, and I'm talking about Jalen Brunson. Mm-hmm. It's kind of hard for De'Aaron Fox to look good against a guy like that, because he's just being outsmarted and outplayed at every possible angle of the game. So, De'Aaron Fox is just your typical Kentucky player. It's just, all physicality, all physical traits, but no real basketball IQ. I'm sure if somebody listens to this, they're going to drop Bam Adebayo or something like that. But then again, Bam Adebayo is fucking all physical traits. Go fuck yourself. He's not exactly, he's a big-ass dude that could shoot threes, so fuck off. But what I was saying, I'm excited for the Bulls. I think this is a really great, really, really great push in the right direction.
Yeah, what I liked about the Bulls is that this showed that they did research, they did proper research, they took their time with it. When everyone was like upset being, oh my god, the Bulls are taking so long to hire a coach right before the draft, this is a problem. I was like, that's a good thing. That means that they're pretty nervous about this decision and they want to make a good decision. They're taking their time with it. If it happened too quickly, we would have gotten a Wes Unseld Jr. to coach us for the next 2 seasons, waste of time, whatever, blah, blah. It's very refreshing that the Bulls finally took time, because we're used to that. We're used to the Bulls being the first pick. Every single time there's a new coach available, like the coaching carousel happens, the Bulls will be the first one to pick a guy that you didn't think was available, a guy that you didn't really care much about. Well, even when we got Billy Donovan, I was like, this is nice. Billy Donovan's a good coach, but Where's the resume? Where's the NBA resume? Like, all he's done is coach a long time. He hasn't really won much. He had Chris Paul on a team where he made it to the semifinal, the semis in the NBA. But aside from Billy Donovan, like, I'm really excited about TIAGO. I think it's a nice fresh start for the Bulls. It's something that we finally need as Bulls fans, a little more refreshing. At least when we watch losing basketball, it's going to be a little bit more enjoyable now because we're building up to something rather than negatively going down, which is how the AK season felt.
Yeah, and I'll say this. I think it's a great move because it's one of those moves that ball knowers and people who are interested in basketball were really excited about because of what TIAGO Splitter did for the Portland Trailblazers. Mm-hmm. Like, that is not a casual name that's going to put butt in seats. You know, a Bulls move of old would be like hiring John Calipari, because John Calipari is going to put butts in seats because he's a big name. Mm-hmm. You know, or Carlos Boozer, signing Carlos Boozer, who might not be the most, might not be the smartest free agent signing, but that was like an old Bulls kind of thing. That's a Jerry Reinsdorf special.
Yeah.
And any White Sox fans will look you in the eye and know exactly what we're talking about, of just like, how do I get my team to 500 and put as many people in seats as I can?
Yeah, keep engagement, right?
Yeah, let me go overpay for a 35-year-old power forward or a 33-year-old power forward instead of going and just saying, hey, let's take a step back, let's free up some cap, let's maybe draft a young guy that we can develop, and let's go get a coach that actually develops young talent and actually knows how to win with what is in front of him, instead of an NBA coach who's going to complain. You know, I was just terrified that we were going to go and get like a Doc Rivers.
Yeah, just someone who's like, oh, a veteran. Yeah, old guy.
I was so afraid that, you know, Jerry Reinsdorf was going to push us to get a Doc Rivers. That's genuinely was something that was scaring the shit out of me. It also was scaring the shit out of me, and we were talking about earlier that we were going to promote Billy Donovan to the front office and have his son coach.
Yeah, that was a possibility. We were talking about that for a long time. Yeah,
that scared the shit out of me. So, of all the things that we've been talking about, the fact that we have TIAGO Splitter now as our head coach, like, this is the best scenario for us, I would say.
It's fresh, nice and fresh.
Yeah.
Something new. All right, D. Maybe it's time to talk some footy, shall we? Shall we talk some soccer? Okay, so putting basketball aside, I don't know how much basketball talk we'll have. I mean, I know the draft's coming up soon, so we'll definitely do a show on that. But let's talk some World Cup, because the World Cup action, like we mentioned earlier, every team finished their first leg. They played their first game, with the second round of games happening starting today. But we're going to go through some... I have a list of games here that are pretty much the biggest surprises after the first round. One thing I do want to say is that I am completely blown away by the United States, Mexico, and Canada as hosts. I think they're doing a way better job than my expectation was, and I think the influx of how foreigners are kind of appreciating the United States, aside from the whole like Waffle House, like, oh my god, a big gulp, none of that shit. The idea that people come to MetLife Stadium, right? They come to Dallas or they come to St. Louis, and they're just like, this place is ginormous, the stadium is gorgeous, the fans here are amazing. That part I wasn't expecting so much, right? I sent you that meme where it's like a guy's just like, I've just entered the most beautiful venue, the most beautiful field I've ever seen. And it was MetLife. And a Giants fan underneath it is just like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, dude, I spent my entire year bullshitting MetLife. And now here are the foreigners coming in being like, this pitch is beautiful. I can't believe you guys get to watch a game here every Sunday. That part I've been really blown away by. So big respect to the hosts this year. Canada, United States, Mexico. Congrats to them, because they are blowing it out of the park so far.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. I think my dog locked herself in a closet. I'm hearing some crazy shit going on.
Okay, so as Danny takes a minute to go look at his dog.
I can hear what you're saying. I think my dog locked herself in a closet.
So as Danny takes a minute to go take his dog out of the closet, you've heard that right, folks. Danny's dog is currently in the closet. We're going to give him a nice little minute, but that was a big surprise for me, definitely the United States, because heading into it, I was kind of nervous about how they were going to be perceived and how us football fans know how a lot of these football fields look during the season. And we're just like, they could be a lot better. I'm really blown away by the way the Europeans have embraced it, the fandom, right? The Scots in Boston, the just people in every single little nook and cranny of the United States. That part's really, really exciting.
I thought it was crazy Harry Kane kind of standing in the middle of the field looking up at all the fans singing Wonderwall. Like, that was a pretty cool moment.
Awesome.
I think like the stories, Kansas and Algeria, that was pretty cool. You know, I think FIFA didn't do a good job with Iran, with the whole Iranian thing. Not so much the travel visa situation, because that's just travel. Putting them in LA when LA has the largest Persian population aside from Iran.
Yeah.
And knowing that that was going to be such a politically charged environment, and you have Mexico City as a host nation, you have Canada as a host nation. Like, there's so many more options that they could have done with Iran. But instead, they put Iran in LA, and you had all these protests from Persian Americans, and yeah. So, don't want to get... This isn't a political show, but I'm just saying, FIFA needs to do fucking better.
It's also like... yeah, like FIFA is a political sport. Soccer is definitely a political sport. But when it comes to the World Cup, people love to put that aside. Now, obviously, that's why we don't see Russia here right now is a big issue for that. Yep. But I agree with what you said. I think I do have a little bit of empathy for Iran and the way they're being perceived right now in the United States, right? Because these are soccer players. These are players who, avoiding their political bias and the way they kind of perceive themselves, are here to play soccer. This is their job, right? And at the end of the day, that's the respect that we have to grant them. They're here to play soccer. Sure. Let them lose a few games. Let them win a game. Let them celebrate whatever. You know, like that. That's kind of the emotion.
At the same time, Dijo, pull the tampon out of your fucking ass, because you know what? What other country in this world would a country that's currently at war with us be able to pack one of our football stadiums and willy-nilly wave their flags and it's their own fucking people protesting them? Half the white people in LA were wearing Iranian t-shirts because they were protesting our government. They were anti our government. Like, so this whole like making a statement at American people when 90% of us don't agree with what's going on over there, and you're saying, oh, America is this, America is that. Hey, bud, that's your own people who moved here that are protesting you, not like white Americans, black Americans. You're making a blanket statement, period, about Americans when 90% of the people are pro-Iran and, you know, anti what our government's doing. So again, not a political podcast, but again, go wave your flag in Russia and see what fucking happens. Go wave your flag in North Korea, see what happens. Shit, go wave your flag in Iran and see what fucking happens.
Yeah.
Again, like, they're blowing up about us, but like, and I'm sorry, you could say this isn't freedom, this is freedom, because you literally are walking out being yelled at by your own people. Like, you're being yelled at by people who have a problem with your flag because they ran away from your country. You're not having, like, the Americans who did not run away from Iran saying, fuck this, fuck that. No, because, like, it's just people want to find the smallest minute details to credit, like, to just kind of pick at us and pick at us and pick at us and try to find things they can make fun of. But, like, what I think these people are figuring out is there is a vast difference between the American people and the American government. And I think they're finding out, how, like, Algeria definitely found out how beautiful the American people are, how much like the American people, we value ourselves as underdogs, and so we root for underdog countries. Now, I don't know if the American government does. The American government does whatever they want, but like, American people, we get behind underdogs because all our movies are about underdogs and Remember the Titans, and like, we've gone through all this shit.
Yeah.
And we're trying to hyper correct all our transgressions, but at the same time, like, we want to root for the underdog. So like, Lawrence, Kansas is getting well behind Algeria because like, it's beautiful. It's beautiful for me as an American citizen, because you're starting to see like the European countries and the players coming here and being like, oh shit, all Americans aren't just white dudes with $1 million in LA. Like, they're not just, brash New Yorkers. They're hardworking people. They're people who love other cultures and love to learn. And yeah, I think that's really powerful. Like you saw Germany here in Chicago. What Milwaukee and Chicago are two of the largest German populations, and welcome them with open arms. You know what I mean? People
Pretty
were
much, yeah,
excited that
pretty
Germany
much.
was here.
Speaking of Germany, so this is the first game I think that had the most surprising result. And not surprising, but more so just like this definitely brought back soccer memories of me waking up and watching every game. Germany versus Curacao. Correct me if I'm wrong, if that's how you pronounce it. It was 7-1 finish. The funniest part about it is that the game did start 1-1 for like the first 40 minutes or so. It was 2-1 at halftime. They've put up 5 goals in the second half. Germany definitely looks pretty strong. Now, Curacao isn't one of the best. It is the smallest country in the FIFA World Cup, but Germany had a pretty explosive first game there. I think they're ready to go to the next stage.
Yeah, we'll see what I think. We'll see a little. We'll learn a little bit more about this German team because Curacao, like we said, you saw those fans. They were emotional and happy that they scored 1 goal against Germany.
Mm-hmm.
They're a, like you said, the smallest country to ever make the FIFA World Cup. I'm a little familiar because the USA actually plays them quite a bit. The U.S. men's national team plays them quite a bit, being a Caribbean nation. I think it's actually a really cool storyline that they're there. However, Ecuador they had a little bit of a tough outing against Cote d'Ivoire. I'll say Cote d'Ivoire because I did not know this, but they don't like being called Ivory Coast because that is their.
I was always Cote d'Ivoire, but I know it's not.
Oh, okay. I always called them Ivory Coast because I will never speak French, but I found out that they are offended by that, so I'll call them Cote d'Ivoire. Both those teams are extremely talented. Ecuador kind of let me down because I think Ecuador's got like 4 of the top South American players available in the World Cup. Like Ecuador had a high stakes. Some people were saying, some of the soccer experts, I know ESPN FC said Ecuador was a team that could make it to the Final Four. And then Cote d'Ivoire is one of the best, if not the best, African country. I think Egypt is always one of the one-on-ones out of the African draw, but Cote d'Ivoire is definitely up there. They have some of the most brightest young players that are playing in Europe right now. So I was really excited about that. So we'll see more about what Germany has to play or has to show if they can keep doing that. Like I think Moises Caicedo out of Ecuador, he was a top 20 player coming in the top 100 FIFA players coming into the game. He's really talented. Ecuador plays with a really aggressive defensive style. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of fun things, but it's cool to see Germany back on top.
It is cool to see Germany back on top there. They do, again, they always have pretty good coaching, and then they have some insane ball skills, which I really love watching their games.
Yeah, and you know, they do have some really good young players, and I know like this whole the whole idea is that they're just old and decrepit and all, you know, mostly because of guys like Mueller and all that stuff that were playing there. But they got guys like Kai Havertz, Musiala, like they got some really, really talented guys. Antonio Rudiger, I think he's like, what is he, like in his mid to 30s?
He did check in, he did check in for the game. Yeah.
Yeah, and Joshua Kimmich. So, like, you know, they do have a mix of veterans and young players, but at the same time, like, it's just like it's not the same without Germany, and so like that was really cool to see.
Heading into this next matchup here, this is probably the most surprising matchup that no one expected because this is everyone's favorite leading into the beginning first week of soccer. Spain 0 versus Cape Verde 0. That was definitely a matchup that when I was watching, I was pretty pissed because in my bracket I do have Spain winning it. Not a great start for the World Cup favorites, I would say.
Yeah, I think Spain's going to still win this group, mostly because Saudi Arabia and Uruguay didn't pull away with a 3-pointer. Everyone's tied at 1. Lamine Yamal only played about 15 minutes in this game. They're kind of working him back into the rotation coming off of a hamstring injury. The big thing I took away from this was with now the expansion and knockout stages, a lot of these top teams are kind of treating this as a kind of preseason matchup, this first game, especially if you're Spain.
It's a feeler, right? It's a feeler a little bit.
A feeler, especially if you're Spain, where you're confident you can pump just about everyone. The one thing I'll say about Spain, and it always happens every World Cup, Spain is not going to go anywhere, guys. Like, they're going to be competing for a championship and winning the World Cup. The one thing with Spain is they play such a possession-heavy game that when someone parks the bus on them and they can't breach the defenses like they did against Cabo Verde, it just looks like they're playing keep away at midfield. And it looks really slow, and it looks really ugly. Now, the difference is when Spain's scoring on you, they look like they're dominating every aspect because you can't even touch the ball.
Mm-hmm.
However, when you're just parking the bus and playing for a 0-0 tie, like, you know what I mean? It just looks really bad because it's just a bunch of Spanish dudes passing to each other at center field. Like, it sucks.
And the game was very mediocre because there just wasn't a lot of action in there. I could tell that Cape Verde was playing really good defense, and Spain was just pretty hesitant to try to push. I know they will. Like exactly what you said, this first game is usually kind of a feeler. Spain isn't behind. Spain, if anything, is just their first game does start this week. I don't know who they're playing next, but that was definitely surprising.
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, that's kind of the expectation.
Saudi Arabia.
Kind of the expectation.
Uruguay's in trouble. In trouble. Although I do think Uruguay will fuck up Cabo Verde too, and it'll correct itself. What's really fun about this second round game is if one of those teams do not win their game, like I said it to you earlier, this is a very problematic field because if Saudi Arabia draws Spain and Spain has another bad performance, Saudi Arabia ends with Cabo Verde. And if that matchup wears off on Cabo Verde, Saudi Arabia could win the fucking group.
Yeah, they could win the group. I know. How fucking nuts would that be? Heading into this next matchup, there's only 4 more matchups we're going to talk about. Portugal versus DR Congo. That was a tie, 1-1. Everyone was blasting Ronaldo on social media, and I do understand why. I think it's because he was also playing a bit soft. He is a bit old, and he's not going to play a full 90-minute game here and there, but still one of those finishes where it's like you got to respect Congo for how the kind of they were embraced by the United States. Like, they really were. Their fandom is very, very exciting for people in the United States, seeing a very young it's a very young crowd. You know, it's not a lot of older people because the older people decided not to travel. So it's a lot of the younger crowd that did end up traveling for these matchups here. Great finish for the Congo. Portugal, we'll definitely see. This was a bit of a slow start for them. I am a little bit worried for their finishing. But I mean, what did you take away from this? Do you believe less?
Yeah, I'm a little annoyed, right? Everyone's making excuses. They're blaming it all on Ronaldo. Look, Portugal is a loaded team.
Yeah.
And if you're having a problem, look, Rafael Leao, he could say something to Ronaldo. You could still put it in Gonçalo Ramos. You can give it to Bruno Fernandes. You can give it like João Neves. Like, these are all guys who are champions in Europe. And people are like, it's Ronaldo's ego. All these guys have egos. Mm-hmm. They're all the top 25 players in the world. Bernardo Silva, Man City. Like, these are guys who are playing for championships every year. And on top of that, let's not just get away from the fact that Portugal was winning this game. And Cabo Verde scored on them to tie the game. Nuno Mendes is back there. PSG, he just won his back-to-back Euro Cups. UEFA Champions League. Like, this team is a team that has no business. John Cancelo, like, these guys have no business letting Congo score on them. Like there's no business of you drawing 1-1. I don't care what you say. You could say it was Ronaldo's ego of them having to put the ball in Ronaldo's hands. Bullshit. Yeah. Bullshit. Ronaldo still scores goals with Al Nassr. Like, he's not. People are acting like he's like fucking some geriatric dude. He's still getting down there, getting in front of the net. Like, you should still be able to beat Congo. Like, if we're playing against Argentina or Spain and Portugal is still putting the ball in front of Ronaldo, trying to have him score goals, and that's why they lose, sure. But Ronaldo should still be good enough to beat Congo. You just played like shit. Just say you played like shit. Stop taking this away from Congo.
Mm-hmm. And taking it to the next game as well, this is very, very reminiscent. Brazil versus Morocco also ended in a tie 1-1. Brazil is another one of those underdog favorites that everyone's talking about just because of their depth. They truly are one of the deepest teams in the entire league versus the entire world. This finish, I was definitely rooting Morocco because of the Cinderella story they had last World Cup. I'm a big fan of Morocco, and I kind of love the way they are handling themselves this year. They've pushed themselves into the second tier of teams, I would say. Whereas before, everyone would look at them and be like, hey, this is a third tier, fourth tier team. They know that they're a second tier team. They know in their minds, they're like, we're going to make it out of this group one way or another. And tying with Brazil is a very, very good start for them, I will say.
Look, everyone's going to knock Brazil. I don't think Brazil is much better than Morocco. I thought it was a pretty good result. I thought both teams are pretty talented. The one thing about Brazil people talk about is Brazil's mystique gone. I think so, because Brazil, a lot of these players are playing in Europe. And so now people have a game plan for them. Obviously, when you got Vinny Jr., you're always going to be in every game. I mean, this guy's a beast. He can equalize any game. But Morocco doesn't fuck around, and they're not afraid of anyone.
Yeah, they're not.
They have guys that played for PSG on there. Like, they have guys that are aggressive, that go after the ball. They attack you. I mean, this is a team that beat Spain in the knockouts, and I know it was in a penalty shot or in a PK, but like, they are a very, very talented squad. They have guys who are playing in some of the best teams in Europe that nobody's talking about. Like, this is a very capable team. They're an African powerhouse now. Morocco is going to be a problem. Like, here's the main problem is we all are talking about, like, there's 8 third-place teams that are making it through. Somebody's going to have to play a runner-up, Brazil or Morocco, and that's going to suck.
That's going to suck. That's going to suck. Yeah, so that is an expectation that I kind of do feel after watching those first rounds, that there's going to be one team that falls short that's still going to get their opportunity made, because they're going to be a third-place team that's going to advance. But this matchup was very interesting. This was one of my favorite games to watch. This next one here was the Netherlands versus Japan. This game for me was awesome. Netherlands, I will say, they kind of disappointed me. I think they were playing very, very slow soccer. They were not scoring at all. Like, they did score two beautiful goals, but their offense looks very scared versus Japan, where they're playing keep away offense, right? Which is not the kind of way you want to be playing at the FIFA World Cup level. You want to be scoring abundantly. Japan muscled their way back into this game. It was 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 2-2. Japan really muscled their way back into this game. I'm really impressed by the way they played. I do think Japan this year might have one of their strongest teams that we've seen in the past. Great coaching, great leadership. They were less scared than Netherlands were. And for some reason, Netherlands, they were the heavy favorite. They felt like the home team, all the fans there. Japan impressed me so well with their composure for this game. This is the most important game that they've had in a very long time, was this opening day against Netherlands.
Not only that, they did this without their best player, Kaoru Mutama, who's not on the World Cup team because he got hurt with a hamstring injury. So he's out of the entire World Cup. But Kaoru Mutama, he plays for Brighton, and he is potentially one of the best players. I think he's the best Japanese player. He's one of the best players that is coming out of the Asian bracket here. Japan is a legit team.
Yes,
they can win 1 or 2 knockout games.
And this game proved it to me. This game was where it opened my
100%.
eyes. I'm like, I see it now. I do.
The Dutch are a team that are talented enough to win this World Cup. The Dutch have enough talent, top to bottom, that they can win this World Cup, from Cody Gakpo to who's the guy I always Van Dijk.
Van Dijk,
Van Dijk. They have some of the best players in the world on their team. Denzel Dumfries, like, they got guys, but Japan just played for them body to body. They just went man to man, toe to toe, and that was a hard fought 2-2 draw.
Yes. And when you see teams open up this way too, when you see teams open up their first game this way, I'm stoked for Japan in the next matchup.
It's exciting, and then you get to also know that both those teams get to play Sweden.
Yeah.
Who I think Sweden's a very talented team. I think Alexander Isak is one of the best players in the world, one of the best strikers in the world. I'm so excited for that for the next upcoming matches. Tough draw for Tunisia. That's really
tough, I agree. I know that's. They're one of the teams that is, unfortunately, they're going to be sort of like a guinea pig, where it's like they're going to let teams kind of run train.
Yeah, it's going to be. They're kind of in the same situation as Iraq is in France's group, where it's like Norway. it's like Norway, Senegal, and France, and then here's poor Iraq who's got to play these teams, and all these guys have some of the best stars in the world. It just kind of sucks.
Endless stars. Okay, getting on to the last matchup here. I want to talk to you about this one because this one obviously is close to home a little bit. Team USA versus Paraguay, 4-1 finish. This isn't. I'm not going to put this as one of the impressive stat lines or one of the first important ones. This was just important for the American point of view. I think this was the first game. I hear a lot of people saying that this was genuinely the best Team USA game they've ever watched in terms of just strength, their offensive scheming, like the coaching, all played really, really well. Defense was still a bit slacking, I will say, this game. Defense wasn't great, even though Paraguay, we did almost shut them out. They did score 1 goal. But I'm very, very impressed with the way the Team USA handled them. Tell me, coming from you, right, this is your team, unless you have another team that you're rooting for more. How did you feel coming away from this first matchup?
I'm always going to be excited, Dijo.
Fair, yeah, fair. But are your expectations, have your expectations grown a little bit? No.
And I'll tell you why. A lot of people are saying this is the best American team. I'll correct that. This is a very different American team. They are playing very much the Argentinian style. Our coach is from Argentina. Like they attack. They have some of the best offensive setups.
Oh, yeah.
If you didn't know this, like we put up 2 goals quick on Belgium.
Mm-hmm.
We scored 3 goals against Senegal. And Senegal, for what it's worth, is a very good team. I know that people have only seen them getting busted by France and the U.S. in the spotlight, but they are a very good soccer team. I knew we are capable of this because we have some very talented players. And they've shown me for a while now that they can score. Now, I still need, before I get excited, I need to see our defense can fix.
Yeah, I agree.
Because our
it's defense, a little sloppy.
Like I said, it's sloppy. It has holes. The U.S. has, talking about that Belgian game. The Belgian game, we scored 2 goals. We gave up 5 unanswered. So I'm excited I always circled this game against Australia. A lot of people were talking about Paraguay.
Which is tomorrow at 2 p.m., by the way, for everyone that watches.
Tomorrow at 2 p.m.
2 p.m.
A lot of people were talking about Paraguay being kind of a cakewalk. I don't think they're a cakewalk.
No, a lot of people said that they were the best team, the best defense heading out of their region, like 100%.
And that was what excited me.
Yeah.
Was that the Americans have, the U.S. men's national team, we've had a problem playing 2 team strengths, and we've seen this when we played Mexico. We had a really good kind of run against Mexico, and then just recently, once Mexico really started playing that kind of grind down style, really defensive beat you up style, that we started seeing a struggle with Mexico again because we get into those sloppy defensive games. That's what I'm really scared about with Australia. Mm-hmm. Australia is very similar. They have a lot of big defensemen. They like to beat you up, and they like to break you down. They played Australia they played the Americans very, very well. They were beating us 1-0 at half. We ended up coming back and beating them 2-1 in a friendly. But Australia is a team that's going to test us. The other game I will be excited to watch too out of this group is when we play Turkey. Turkey's got some of the best. They got 2 really talented strikers, and I'd like to see how we play defensively against those teams. But no, I'll say this, Dijo. I was very excited about the way we came out and played.
Oh yeah.
The fact that we were inspired, and I want to just say this: if the U.S. plays like that in every game of this tournament, we can make it to the Final Four.
We could, yeah, we could.
It's not crazy.
Yeah, and you do need a good defense, but it's soccer's the type of sport where once you have an incredible offense where you can kind of lean on your offense, then your defense figures itself out. As long as you get to an early lead, make clutch game winners, like those kind of things really do matter. And USA does have a really good offense this year. I think it's one of the best, most prominent offenses I've watched from a U.S. soccer team I think maybe ever, because I don't think I've ever watched a game where they won in this sort of fashion, where it was over so quick. This game was over so quick within the first 20 minutes.
I've never seen them dominate possession, and I've never seen them come out and score so convincingly.
Yeah.
Some of their goals that they've scored, going back to Jedi's goal against Germany, and going up against Giarena's goal here against Paraguay, some of their goals that they've had are some of the most elite goal scoring I've seen. And we have a guy like Pulisic who is literally a problem for all opposing defenses because he takes so much attention.
Swift. Yeah.
And then you put a guy like Balogun on the other side of him that can, once you have all the people going to Pulisic, he's able to just hit across the Balogun and then it goes right in. This team's a problem. The only thing I'm going to be interested to see is how we play when we don't dominate possession.
When it's a close game.
Yeah, like a team like Spain is not going to let us dominate possession like
exactly. And I think this game against Australia is going to tell us a lot, because Australia is also very quick. They're one of the quickest teams in terms of just like overall speed. So I'm definitely excited to see how that matchup's going to go, because I think it's going to be a closer game. This isn't going to be a 4-1 game. This might be a 1-0 tie game kind of thing. But getting that win against Paraguay was all the Team USA needed to keep that strength and momentum going. 100% needed.
If we blow out Australia,
punch your ticket.
I will be on cloud 9 if we blow out Australia.
Yeah, if they do it, then time to punch your ticket to maybe pass the knockout stage. I would like to see, but
I hate the knockout stages because it's almost like they did it on purpose.
Yeah.
We basically are going to have to play either Argentina or Spain. Or not Spain, Argentina or Uruguay was one of the other. Yeah, Spain could be in second place.
Iran.
So we could play Spain, there's basically they're setting up a matchup for the Americans versus Messi. And
which would be a crazy stadium to go to, crazy game prices.
Argentina would fuck us up.
Oh, of course they would. All right.
yeah.
All right, D. I mean, if you have anything else you want to share through any other sports, I mean, I don't know if there's any other topics going on, but if you're ready for this closing discussion, I can toss it on you while we're still on the topic of soccer here.
Sure. Just a couple big shout outs. College Baseball World Series has been really fun. We've had some really incredible games, some really fun offensive performances. I was texting you a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, about now you in UIC,
UIC was there, so that was really fun. It's always a really fun tournament, that and the softball World Series. I always enjoy watching it. It also is always like my marker for the start of the summer. So that's been really fun. MLB wise, PCA's back.
Yeah, PCA's back. Yes,
PCA's back.
He's been pretty back and forth, but for now he is definitely back. Definitely back.
Jacob Mizorowski is unreal. And the Brewers are just never going to go away.
And the White Sox are relevant.
Shut up. The White Sox. Fuck the White Sox. Yeah. So that. Oh, I saw. I drove by the White Sox stadium, and I saw all the Fairweather White Sox fans who are attending a game now because they're good, and all of them rushing to the. Yeah, I saw Santana and Doobie Brothers at Tinley Park. Santana, 78 years old, still fucking rips.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, it was. But I just find it funny when the Cubs are bad. We're there. We're always at Wrigley. So I find it funny how packed that stadium is now that their team's
and
4 games over 500.
So fucking happy about that. Holy shit! Did he not expect that? Jerry Reinsdorf. He did not expect this team. He did not expect this team to be this good. This is all free money for him. He's so thankful for it. Okay, but closing discussion, shall we?
But the other thing. Sorry to cut you off before we go. Just a couple rest in pieces. Rest in peace to Stacey King.
Yes.
Rest in peace to Oliver Tree. The world lost 2 really entertaining awesome people with those two. I know I'm a little bit older than the demographic that Oliver Tree preached to, but he's also 31 years old.
He also has good music. He had good music.
Good music.
No shame in that.
Hilarious. He was hilarious. I loved watching him on podcasts, especially the H3 podcast. I watched him a couple times on Tiger Belly and on Bad Friends. I love Oliver Tree. So rest in peace to him. And then I don't want to brush over it. Stacey King. I'm still a little choked up by it, man. That was a really tough to lose Stacey, man. I don't know. Dijo, and I'm not overreacting when I say this, Stacey King made me love basketball.
Yeah.
He was my voice. Him and Neil Funk were my voice for the Chicago Bulls basketball. Stacey King, till the day that I die, I will remember walking into we were sleeping over at our buddy Derek's house, and I was with your brother, and we were sleeping over there. We were walking in from going egging or some dumb shit, and we walked in, and being tough little young kids, we were smoking cigarettes outside, come walking in, and just so happened to walk in right when Derrick Rose dunked on Goran Dragic, and literally the rest of our entire high school, the quote that anytime you did something big, people would just be like, stop it, Derrick Rose can go upstairs, too big, too fast,
Did you not get the memo? Yeah, dude.
Did you not get the memo? Derrick Rose can go upstairs.
Yeah, man.
Too big, too fast, too strong. Derrick Rose. From that to give me the hot sauce. I mean, how many times have you heard people saying, give me the hot sauce?
The guy was a true Chicago foundation, and he found a way into everyone's hearts, mainly by being Bulls fans from home. Growing up, I was never a Bulls fan at United Center. I've only got to see United Center a few times in my first 10 years actually being a Bulls fan. So it was always being at home, watching Neil Funk and Stacey King. And even the duo with Adam Amin and Stacey King, for me, was very, very strong. You don't understand how important something is until you lose it. And I'm not prepared to go into this next Bulls season hearing another voice, seeing another person in that chair, not being able to hear the beep, beep, drive home safe Chicago. That would be
really hard.
Just truly one of my favorite things. The Bulls would win a game, and just hearing the beep, beep made me sleep well that night. So just rest in peace, Stacey. Again, sorry for the whole King's family loss, the Bulls family loss. He was a tremendous voice, and he was just someone that hopefully will live on forever. I would love to see a statue of some sort, maybe a retirement of just the amount that he gave to the Bulls is more than any Michael Jordan, Derrick Rose, any Phil Jackson. That he represented the Bulls with pride, and that's something that makes me proud to be a Bulls fan as well.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that people in Chicago love, Dijo, is I think they just love when someone loves their team just like they do. Mm-hmm. And it was so obvious Stacey King loved the Chicago Bulls. I grew up listening to Ron Santo do Cubs games. He did Cubs radio, and everyone loved Ron because Pat and Ron, when they would get on there, Ron would always, he would, oh, jeez, oh Lord, he was like it was like watching the game with your grandpa. Mm-hmm. It was like watching the game with your grandpa, who just has been pissed off at the Cubs his whole life, and that's how I felt watching with Stacey. Was I felt like I'm watching. I feel like I'm watching a Bulls game with a relative that got me into basketball, because Stacey King literally did that for me. And every year he never failed to give me another quotable thing. What was his most recent one? Elizabeth, I'm coming. Elizabeth, I'm coming. Oh Lord. What was the one that we saw with when Josh Giddey at your house?
Josh
Giddey hit I cannot believe this is happening. Yeah. Elizabeth, I'm coming.
Man, he was a human highlight reel in every sense. The guy had a pretty tremendous career through basketball and without. The one thing I'm truly gonna miss is his Twitter. That man was active every single day, and he was a fucking menace on Twitter, dude. He would be calling people out. He'd be posting photos of people but at the end of the day, he was one of the friendliest souls that you'd ever meet in person. He waited everyone has countless stories about how if you just tagged him in a tweet, he would wait for you after the game just to take photos with you. one of the sweetest people. And you saw the outreach of love that he got throughout the NBA. People like Trae Young, people like Joel Embiid kind of reaching out, knowing who this person was, knowing that they had conversations with him at some point. So never to be forgotten, Stacey King will definitely live on.
Stacey King, rest in peace. And if you want to also kind of like do a tribute to him, NCAA, the YouTube channel, has the full replay of the 1988 national championship game between Oklahoma and Kansas. Mm-hmm. Stacey King was the star player for that Oklahoma team. Go back and watch that. It's a must-see. People forget because he was such a voice. Stacey King was a great player.
Hell yeah. Sixth overall pick in the draft. He was, again, stud.
3 NBA championships, man. Yeah. It's just...
Stud.
Rest in peace, Stacey King, man.
Rest in peace, Stacey King. Okay, going into our closing discussion here, Danny. Are you ready for this?
Let's do it.
Okay, so only 8 countries have ever won the World Cup in its entire history. Tell me, what are the chances that we finally get a new team this year? A number 9, a new country to win it all. Do you think there's the chances of that?
I'm going to try to guess all the 8 before I answer this.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Uruguay, they've won one.
Uruguay, yes. You got the hard one out of the way.
Spain, Germany, Brazil, France.
You're missing...
England's not on there.
England is on there.
Oh, England won one? Okay.
They won one in 68. 68, I think it was.
In 68, okay. Is Russia on there?
No. Missing 2. Did you get the last one? The most recent one?
I say Argentina, Brazil, France. Argentina, Brazil, France, Germany, Italy.
Yes, Italy.
Spain.
You're missing. I think you're missing one. Okay, so Uruguay, Germany, Italy, Brazil, England, Argentina, Spain. You're missing one, and this is the one that was, again, one of the youngest stars that everyone still obsesses over.
Who?
Mbappe.
I said France.
You did say France?
I did say France.
Sorry, maybe we're getting this confusing.
Okay. I'm missing another one. There's one.
Uruguay, Italy, Germany, Brazil, England, Argentina, France, Spain. That's 8. Never mind. That's the 8.
Okay, we got it.
So I think you did get it. I think we just said it in a we said it backwards.
It's hard to remember because Spain. I think Spain's won like 3 of them in my lifetime.
Yeah, so Spain won it in. I have it pulled up right here. They won it in 2010, which is the only time they've ever won it.
Okay. And Brazil won 02, Italy won 06 because of Zidane. I remember listening it on Zidane. France won in Qatar. Or France won in Russia. Argentina won in Qatar.
Yes, correct.
And then
correct.
80s and 90s was like back and forth Argentina and Germany.
Yeah, so right now I could go through them real quick. 2022 Argentina.
Maradona won a bunch.
2018 France. 2014 Germany. 2010 Spain. 2006 Italy. 2002 Brazil. 98 France. 94 Brazil. 90 Germany. 86 Argentina. 78 Argentina. 74 Germany. 70 Brazil, 66 England, 62 Brazil, 58 Brazil, 54 Germany, 50 Uruguay, 38 Italy, 34 Italy, 30 Uruguay.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's that. Okay,
what was
so
your question?
Back to the question is, what do you think the chances are of there being a 9th new team to win it this year? Or do you believe one of those 8 teams are going to win it again? Personally, I think the chances feel after this first week pretty high that I think this year we might get a new winner.
I think there's always a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're in a world where soccer talent is developed so soccer talent's developed to a point where all these countries have really great teams. I will say this though: Argentina, France, and Spain are in a entirely different bracket in terms of difficulty playing.
Yeah.
I will say this though: if those three teams fall out, it's tough because it falls right down to the shoulders of England and Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
And England should be up there with those four. However, England's not up there with those four because they're just choke artists.
So,
now,
historically, yes.
Historically, I will say this. If there was somebody who's going to win it for the first time, I would say Portugal definitely has what it takes to win the entire thing. And then after Portugal, I'd probably say Belgium.
What about Norway?
No, they're not winning it. They have Holland, but defensively, I don't think.
Maybe you're right.
I think they're just too neutralized. I mean, Odegaard and Holland cannot win a World Cup by themselves. Belgium has the talent to go deep. I don't know if they have the talent to win it all. Netherlands, we talked about them. They're a team that could definitely go on a magical run. Morocco is another team that can repeat a fun little run. I'll say this. Everyone's talking about the USA going on this crazy magical run.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be great. I think that would be really fun. Mexico and South Korea and Japan
Underdogs.
There are three teams I would not want to play.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this earlier where Mexico gets to play a lot of their knockout games. If they win this game with South Korea, they play a lot of their knockout games in Mexico. And they play England in Mexico. And then after that, they play the winner of France and Spain. If both those teams win their groups. Now, that would give them a prime shot at potentially seeing a really top-tier team get eliminated, and then they'd come to LA and play one of those two teams.
Mm-hmm.
Mexico is a team that if they get a couple tough draws to roll their way, I could see them going on a bit of a run. South Korea's got a lot of talent, as does Japan. Both those teams, I don't think they're going to win it. I don't think they're going to go super deep, but I do think they could get one or two wins.
They're sneaky fun.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Sneaky fun. I think if the defense on the Americans hold up, we can do some damage. But again, I told you the potential run-in with Argentina, the inevitable run-in with Argentina. However, I will say this. This might be one of those years that we don't see how good Argentina really is because they're playing three really crappy teams in their group stage. And also, we have an Argentinian coach who knows that team very well. So maybe... Yeah. And also, we have a bunch of guys. America's seen Messi. He's not this big ghost.
Yeah, we know who he is.
I would say, though, Netherlands and Portugal are probably your two best chance to get it done. But I'm scared because I just don't know how you beat France.
Mm-hmm. France is always going to be there. France is the looming sword. They're always going to be strong and relevant. And we'll see how the rest of this finishes, but... Heading into next week, we'll definitely give you our updates. I have the list here of who we have advancing out of the group, so I think after in 2 weeks we'll go over that. But good luck to all the rest of the teams. We're going to update you on how this USA team goes for tomorrow against Australia. But otherwise, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Any last remarks, D?
No, man. The World Cup has lived up to it.
100%. And so has Mexico, Canada, and the United States. They have lived up to the hype.
Yep, both those have. Mexico's been really fun. They're playing there's a great game going on right now. Mexico and South Korea are going toe to toe. I will say that these World Cups are becoming more fun because every year we are seeing like a new team emerge, some like unknown country that has a bunch of talent that are playing in some of the top leagues.
Yeah,
Egypt now has a bunch of guys playing in the Europe. We have a bunch of guys playing in Europe out of Morocco that we talked about. Like every year, all the African teams are really good this year. So that's just fun. It's fun to be a fan of the sport.
So much fun, dude. Right?
And it's one of the most palatable tournaments, I think. If you're just a fan of sports, like the World Cup is one of those things that's just so easy to sit down and get like wrapped up in, you know.
100%, 100%. I couldn't agree with you anymore. I can't wait to. I'm going to go watch these games right now. I'm really excited to go into some more Cup soccer heading into next week. We're going to try to meet up with you guys Wednesday or Thursday. We're kind of mixing it up, but either way, appreciate you guys for listening and watching. Please share any questions you might have to the email, to the comments section. Reach out to us on Twitter and Instagram if you know who we are. We appreciate you guys watching, and don't forget to park on the driveway because they're ticketing tonight.
And they're ticketing. Rest in peace, Stacey King.
Rest in peace, Stacey King and Oliver Tree.
Yeah.
Good night, y'all.
Life goes on and 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 on. Life goes on and